Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni. Great Malabite. Action.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Yes, let's start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story is Sanwo-Olu. I am seeking re-election on success of my first term. Promises to make Lagos a 21st century success story. Yes, the governor of Lagos State unveiling his campaign yesterday, but coincidentally, he was not the one speaking. Gbenga Omotosho, the commissioner for information, was the one who addressed the gathering to unveil what they call a greater Lagos rising. For Sanwo-Olu, of course, 3 years and counting, he has to convince Lagosians that he's the man to turn things around. What he has done so far, a lot of projects still ongoing, major projects, the blue line, red line, all ongoing. The bridge that links Okpebi to Maryland, Ojota, also another major project going on. And there are projects scattered here and there. What I can hear from Gbenga Omotosho's speech, a lot of fine prose written there, is that give the governor another term to complete the good work he's doing. That is for Lagosians to judge. And he's saying that everything seems to be very visible to Lagosians. I hope that is the case, because there are a number of challenges Lagosians still face daily unresolved. Pointing out some of the highlights of the last 3 years and several months and counting, talking about how the governor dealt with the COVID-19 challenge. Of course, that is very something that many Lagosians still remember, but whether that will be something ringing in their brain on election day, left to be seen. Are there challenges? Is there anybody really challenging the APC? Because beyond the governor himself is the party that has been in control of Lagos since 1999. Well, there are other candidates. There is Jandon, a former APC member who is now the PDP candidate. And there are a number of other candidates, Labour, SDP, who seem to be speaking well, but can they really scratch the surface when it comes to unseating the incumbent governor, who is the APC governor, as it were? A lot to chew in the days ahead, but I would have expected Governor Sanwo-Olu to be the one speaking, unveiling his campaign. But the Commissioner of Information, our good friend and colleague, Gbenga Omotosho, seems to have done a good job there. But we'll just move on to other stories. Above the masthead, federal government blames governors for level of hardship in country, advises them to tackle poverty, stop building airports, flyovers. That looks like a message, but the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clement Agba, of course, he disclosed that 72% of poverty in Nigeria was located in the rural areas, which he said has been abandoned by the governors. The Guardian newspaper also reporting the story. NGF, Nigerian Governors Forum, mom, as federal government shifts blame for high poverty to governors. Agba, they rather build flyovers, skyscrapers, but leave fight against hunger. Sokoto has the highest number of poor people, followed by Bayelsa. Yaya, governors committed to improving livelihood of rural dwellers. Rising inflation, falling wages, increased poverty, social unrest. says ILO, the International Labour Organization. We have not heard the last of this. It is not enough for the minister to just shift the blame.
Oh,
President Muhammadu Buhari promised a couple of years ago to move 100 million Nigerians out of poverty over the next 10 years. That is, at least 10 million Nigerians will be pulled out every year. But the figures from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics clearly show that more Nigerians, over 103 billion Nigerians, are now neck deep in poverty. So that seems to be where the minister is coming from. The president made a promise. Now more Nigerians are neck deep in poverty. Nigeria has since been described as the poverty capital of the world. Shifting the blame to the governors, talking about governors not attending to roads so that farmers can bring their produce to the markets. Well, we know some of the worst roads right now are federal roads. The minister should know that the Okene Aushi Bini Road is from that axis. Is in a very bad state and is a federal road. Farmers from Auchi, if they want to bring their products to urban centers like Benin City, they will definitely have problems. That is a federal road. And there are a number of other federal roads that are in bad shape. Governors building skyscrapers and flyovers. Are these flyovers needed in the cities to make life better? Make urban centers truly urban centers where people can move freely. I'm also aware that many of these flyover bridges are meant to ease the movement of people in the cities, not to be seen really as a waste of public fund. But the governors, I'm sure they will come with their reposts before long. The Daily Sun also reporting that the Daily Sun reporting governors have no power to stop rallies of opponents. IGP, the Inspector General of Police, Uzodima Ayim, others list impediments to free, fair election. Yes, we've heard of this severally in different states where the governors put stumbling block to the rallies of opposition parties. Clearly, every party should be given level playing field. It is not when you stop them from using public facilities like stadium and other places, schools in one state. Millions of naira was asked to be paid as deposit to use.
Rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was River State.
No, even Ebonyi.
Executive orders.
Ebonyi also. And of course, the River State governor promising to give logistic support to some presidential candidates when they come to campaign. It shouldn't be a favor you do to any party. Every party that wants to campaign in your state, whether it is Rivers, whether it is Ebonyi, whether it is Kaduna, whether it is Kano or Delta, they should have access to public facilities they want to use as their campaign venue. And I think politicians should just rise above pettiness and be mature in the way they relate with one another. Now, the Nation newspaper, minister states to blame for rising poverty hardship. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, I will just skip the lead story, which is similar. Now, the story below New Telegraph newspaper, below the photograph, presidency in dilemma over breach of NDDC Act. Senate judiciary to determine nominees' fate. Falana, Ilaje, Ishekiri ethnic nationalities. Flood Senate with petitions. DSS, police screen nominees as Senate begins confirmation process next week. Well, we've been calling on the president to nominate substantive board for the NDDC. He has done so, and now controversy here and there. But it must also be recalled that the president sent a list to the Senate some time ago. Senate cleared those names, and they were never allowed to take office, the president came up with forensic audits, which has since been completed, reports submitted, no word on that forensic audit. And I think it's something the president must address. Let's see the report before a new board takes over. But there are issues being raised by the Shekiris, by the Lajes, over nominations and the nominees, where they come from, whether they're from oil-bearing communities. Is it in line or against the act setting up the NDDC? We'll continue to hear of that in the days ahead. Many of these petitions are already in the Senate. How the Senate will react to these petitions in confirming or declining confirmation of some of these nominees, we'll see in the future. Now, the Punch newspaper, Friday, fuel scarcity, no planned price hike, says federal government. Queues spread. There will not be fuel price hikes during Yuletide period, says the government. That looks like an assurance. But what is happening presently? The Business Day reporting black market petrol at 350 naira per liter mocks subsidy. Some are saying they're even buying for 400 in some parts of the country right now. People are buying. So why is subsidy still in place? The government not finding the political will to do the needful so that we don't waste so much money, trillions of naira that should have gone into the education sector, health sector, being spent on subsidy. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. Now, I will just take the Times of London. William's grandmother quits over racism row.
Our grandmother, godmother.
Godmother, yes. William's godmother quits over ransom row. Yes. That in itself is a very serious matter, which the Guardian newspaper is also reporting. Where are you from? Royal aide resigns after questioning black guest at palace of her origin. Of course, the name of that guest, Ngozi Fulani. She's a British national, and she said so. But the Queen, yes, but the aide, the palace aide,
lady in waiting.
yes, the Queen's lady in waiting, the lady in waiting to the late Queen, was still insisting, where are you from? Trying to move ahead to check her badge. That's racism at its highest. She has resigned. Ruben Rufai.
Anyway, first, let's note the fact that today is World AIDS Day. And the theme is the need to equalize access to treatment and services. And in Nigeria, we have quite a lot of challenges with the management of HIV/AIDS. Well, in part because in the last 2 years, the focus has been on COVID-19. And a lot of other public health issues suffered as a result of that. But now on World AIDS Day worldwide, you know, the UNFPA and other agencies, and locally here, the Nigerian agency, the National Agency for, you know, HIV/AIDS Control and Administration, is talking about the need to equalize access. 1.8 million Nigerians, we're told, are living with HIV/AIDS. Out of this, 170,000 are children. Out of this 170,000, over 60,000 do not have access to basic retroviral drugs. Pregnant women are also affected. So the call is for the need to focus more on some of these public health issues, HIV/AIDS, family planning, you know, communicable diseases, and to ensure that there is greater investment, you know, on the part of government in all of these issues. Of course, if you look at the aggregate across Nigeria, it varies. The seroprevalence varies from state to state, but still it's a public health issue that attention should be drawn to. Finally, Jian Zemin is gone. The man who took over China after the 1989 Tiananmen Square is, you know, reputed for having opened up China and for promoting international engagement and for fast-tracking market reforms. He was, you know, head of the party and president for a period of about 10 years. He died at 96, we're told, as a result of diabetes and multiple organ failure. May you so rest in peace.
Yeah. Right. That's about all we can take us of time. I would have loved to speak for the Nigerians. I mean, very charitable human being, and but there's no time as always. So.